I think we should be celebrating all of those little moments and be creating memories, not just the memory of winning, because the reality is only one team is going to be the state champion and everybody else finishes their season losing.
Right.
Like that's how your season ends, except for one team. Only one team gets to finish their season not on a loss. So if you're hinging everything on winning, that's a really bad percentage. Like the odds are not in your favor. So when all is said and done, I want these kids to leave high school, and when they're in college or when they're done with college or with their families throughout their life, to look back and say, man, I'm sure glad I played volleyball in high school.
Yeah.
I'm sure glad I was a part of that. And I think if we've done that, regardless of what our season record is, we've done something amazing for these kids.
This is the Leave It Better podcast, powered by the Side Out Foundation. Here's your host, Hall of Fame coach, Janice Kruger.
Today, my guest for the Leave It Better podcast is Stephanie Noriega. She is the head coach at West Springfield High School here in Virginia. She is entering her 20th year, and she was there from the very beginning of the Side Out Foundation and Dig Pink's beginnings with our founder, Rick Dunitz. In fact, at that time, you were an assistant coach. We have a picture of you where Rick is, you were young.
I need this picture. I don't have it.
Okay, well, and you're there and just, from the beginning. So tell me a little bit about, when you think about this position that you're in with West Springfield and also the Side Out Foundation and really the beginnings. What do you remember from that early time when Rick was there and his mom, Gloria, was there, and volleyball and sport sort of was a uniting piece and invigorating piece for his mom?
So I actually came on to the program the second year after it had started. So okay. I was not there for the inaugural very first Dig Pink game. I don't think anybody saw where it was going to go from that point. Like, it was that season and it was in that moment. And, I got to hear the stories about that. And so then I really came on into the program when it kind of moved from, all right, we did this for this one season to honor my mother and to raise this money and awareness. Let's see where else it can go. Like, let's now take it from just this one season, this one team, and make it this bigger picture. And so I think it was really neat to come on in that phase of things and see the enthusiasm from Rick, to see the girls who had been part of, with a lot of returning players who had been part of that first season, and to see how this story can bring a community together and then turn something bigger. So I do really feel privileged that I got to be a part of that. I would have loved to have, been there for that very first season and that first time that story was being told in our West Springfield gym. But I definitely feel this legacy, right? There's something special about being in the starting place, like where it all began, and then having that legacy to carry on.
And you have been doing quite a fine job of that legacy and carrying on, by the way, Stephanie. One of the things that, we wanted to bring you on, but also you have been super successful in your fundraising efforts throughout the years. And when you're talking about bringing your volleyball team together to make this happen, the community, the parents, the whole 9 yards, can you talk a little bit about just that aspect of hosting or being a part of Dig Pink each year? And you're trying to coach a team to be competitive and, have a season. And then we have this extra piece, which is, for something bigger than ourselves, which usually bonds people pretty quickly.
Well, and I do think that a lot of coaches will look at things like Dig Pink or like hosting some special game or event and coaches have their plates full. Like most of us, I mean, I'm a teacher. Like this is my second job. And during the season, I feel like I have 2 full-time jobs. And I think that most varsity coaches feel that way. But I think what makes it work and makes it successful. Well, there's never just one thing. Let's put that out there.
Yeah, right.
First of all, like without amazing parents, nothing's going to happen. Like good parents, huge difference. But even if it feels like a little extra work, the benefits far outweigh that. Just take aside what we're doing for breast cancer research and the money that we're raising. I think anytime you're allowing these teenage girls to think outside of themselves and to be part of something bigger, the bonding and the maturity that comes with that, and this opportunity to see beyond their own world, to see beyond popularity, to see beyond social status, to see beyond, where do I fit in? What's all of this, to see beyond that and to say, oh, there's people that have real challenges and real struggles and I can help them. And there's something that I can do. The growth that brings to a teenager is only going to help your team also be a better volleyball team too. You have more mature players. You have players that bond over something like a Dig Pink event. You have a better volleyball team.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like, it's a win-win-win-win situation from how I look at it. I was like, only good comes from this. There's the obvious good of raising money, which is great. But there's the additional good of bringing a community together. It brings the volleyball players together. It also brings the families together, the parents that volunteer and they meet new people and they work together. I have parents from 6-7 years ago who still come to most of our home matches and they sit together in their little parent groups from their seasons. And some of those parents know each other because they worked together on a Dig Pink campaign. And 7 years later, they're still coming to West Springfield volleyball games to watch, to be a part of it because they built community there. And I love that Dig Pink does that.
Yeah, the connection, when you have this kind of passion for something and you put a little bit of work into that, or a lot of work into that, you do have these incredible connections that can last forever. That's really awesome to hear that they're still coming back and they're still sitting together and cheering you on as well.
It really is fun. I love seeing my alumni players when they come back and things, but I love seeing my alumni parents too.
Yeah, right. So Rick told me today, and I was asking, who is still there that was maybe a part of the first Dig Pinks there. And he mentioned your principal, Michael.
Yes.
Yes.
Mike Mukai. Uh-huh.
Mike Mukai. And also one of your assistant coaches was a player on one of Rick's teams during that time as well.
Erin Battle, who is my head JV coach, and she does a ton. She works with varsity too. She's in the gym all the time. She's amazing. We love her. We actually joke that we started at West Springfield at the same time. She was a freshman in high school, my very first season coaching there. So we started together. And then she played obviously through high school and then came back and has been coaching with me for 10 years now. It could be off by a year, for 10 years. And so she was there the same, like she was there through those really early Dig Pink matches. I think both her and I know I helped out with the first grass tournament. We did a Dig Pink grass tournament for the first one. I remember helping Rick with that. So yeah, she was there for those early campaigns. And I think she even worked at the Side Out Foundation for a hot second.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
She goes way back.
Goes way back. And so Mike.
Yes.
Rick also mentioned that he may have overseen the volleyball program in those early days. And so to have somebody still there when you guys are still hosting these events and still making such a difference, and it's impacting everyone. That must mean a lot to you to have that type of administrative support.
We are so fortunate here. We have a community that supports the school. Like, we have people who want to come back. A lot of our faculty here at West Springfield went to school here. Yeah. Our principal loves volleyball. He used to be he was an assistant athletic director here, then bounced around to a couple schools as he worked his way up admin. And then as soon as he could get back at West Springfield, he was back at West Springfield as our principal. And he's been here for probably 10 years also. And we have almost my entire coaching staff are alumni that come back. Like, we have people that want to come back to the school, and that does build this generational community. It's not just the current community. There's a generational community. And I think that helps people come together. It helps people want to support the events and the programs that are happening within their community. There's people who come to events and they're like, oh yeah, my kid graduated 6 years ago. It's great. It's wonderful.
That is one thing we talk a lot about here at the Side Out Foundation, is the building and the connecting of the community, not only the volleyball kids, but with your community. So that's just awesome to hear. You mentioned parents' involvement. I believe your students are also pretty involved,
yes,
with this whole process as well.
Really, it's Rick who got this started, and then we just keep going with it. But Rick does a great job of telling a story.
Yeah.
And connecting people with the story that's being told, which is how Dig Pink got started. The Side Out Foundation got started in the first place, with a story with his mom, connecting people with that. And I think that is the key to success with, if someone is hosting a Dig Pink event for the first time, or even if they've been doing it for years. I think especially with your kids, how you get your kids involved is you have to have a story. We have a unique story at West Springfield because a big part of our story is this legacy, is that it started at our school. But some years we're connecting more. We had a player, it's been 11 or 12 years ago now, whose mom was battling breast cancer the entire time that she was in high school, before she became a freshman, through her graduating. And she became our story that we told. And just in the last couple of years, we have a player whose mom battled and won the battle with breast cancer. And she became part of our story that we were telling. And if someone has a family member, a grandma, or a neighbor, like, we let that be part of the story that we're telling. And I think if whatever your story is, like, everybody's story is going to be different, and that's okay. Like, we don't need the same story. Like, we're the only ones who have it started at our school story, but everybody has a story. And if they find their story and connect their athletes with whatever their story is, it might be that they're a struggling community. It might be that they're a thriving community. Find your story, connect your story to your goal, and connect your story to the Side Out Foundation. And I think people want to be a part of that. They want to feel connected.
It is a growth moment that does stick with people, as you also mentioned, for a lot of years.
Yeah.
I love that part of the foundation. And I think that it is also, in most places, it's a match for the season that is really highly attended. And that, when everybody gets to play to a packed house, pretty incredible. The vertical jumps usually go up just a little bit. Maybe the coaches, yeah. So is that something, is it well attended there for you all at West Springfield?
It really is. And everything that you just said, Janice, about building that special environment is so true. And I love it. And the kids love it. I'll have friends that will come that have never been to a real volleyball game before. Like, they think of volleyball and they think of what you did in PE class in ninth grade or what you do at your family picnic. And I'm like, no, this is a really different thing than that. Like, that's not what we do. And we'll get like the pep band will come. So we've got the pep band playing in the bleachers, like the varsity singers will come and sing the national anthem for us. And we pack it and everybody's in pink and the vibe is just amazing. And the kids are all hyped. We've got decorations all over and pink balloons and concessions and a bake sale with everything pinked out. And it just brings this vibe in the gym and everybody's positive and happy. And it's amazing. I wish we could do it every night. It's amazing. I want every game to be dig pink.
Yeah, you're getting me excited about all this right now.
Right? You're like, can I come? Yeah. Do come. It's October 9th. Come.
So, I know that, Rick's involvement has stayed with you all there at West Springfield. And over the time, I remember him telling me some things about how sports imports and the dig pink pads that you have that are really pretty special with your Spartan logo and then also the dig pink logo, the Baden dig pink ball.
Yep.
You don't get to play with that very often, but it's a wonderful ball.
It is.
Yeah, I know that the place is decked out. We're going to show some pictures along with this
fantastic
video. Yeah, to see your youthful self and just the event there and what it looked like. So, Stephanie, if you were to give any advice for a school that's kind of thinking about, I'd really like to do something special above and beyond. We got a lot of causes out there. This one's specifically connected to volleyball. What would you say to that coach or to that school that's starting to think about bringing this to their school?
There's just no reason not to do it. And I agree with what you said. Like, there's something special about being a part of a cause that we don't get a lot of that with volleyball. Like, we get tagged along with all these other sports that maybe bring in more money or get more screen time than we do. And it's neat to be part of something that started in volleyball. It feels like ours, like we have ownership of that. Mm-hmm. And honestly, it's not that hard. Mm-hmm. It is not hard to host a Dig Pink event because there's so many ways to do it. And I am surprised every year, pleasantly surprised, I will say, at how many people want to be a part of something. I think people innately have this desire to give back, to serve. I think people are good, inherently good, and they want to do that. And I think for most of us, we just don't always know what to do.
Yeah.
And if somebody says, hey, I need someone to come and hang up pink balloons in the gym, there's people who are like, yeah, I can do that. If somebody, I need people to run a bake sale, they're like, yeah, I can do that. I need people to go out in my community and like ask for raffle prizes. There's a lot of businesses out there who have a budget set aside for charitable donations that's just sitting there. Like, not huge budgets, but like budgets. You go to some of these local businesses and you're like, hey, we're doing this raffle, this charity. Would you be willing to donate? And they're like, yeah, here's $100 gift card that you can raffle off. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. I love what that teaches the players or just, the folks that are going out to do that. It's just ask the question.
Yeah. And if they say no, you're like, all right.
Okay.
I'm in the same position I was before I asked, so I haven't really lost anything. Even if you're not bringing in a lot of money, you're bringing in awareness, and that will eventually transition into some other maybe financial things coming in from somewhere else. Mm-hmm. So I think any Dig Pink match is successful. If you do it, you're being successful.
Yeah.
Like, the dollar amount is great, but that might grow over time. Maybe you'll bring in a bigger amount of money on your fourth one. Maybe you'll only bring in $200 on your first one, but you brought your kids together. You raised awareness and you still brought in $200, which is $200 that the Side Out Foundation didn't have before your event. Yeah. So this is successful.
one of the things also about being in Virginia is that we're doing our research at George Mason. And so we have a lot of reasons to feel so good about the progress and the findings that we're having with the Side Out Foundation and our research and our precision medicine work with metastatic breast cancer. And, that's one thing this year that we're really asking our advocates, our supporters to do is to say, hey, if there's somebody out there in your family, in your community that we could serve with metastatic breast cancer to help them along, we're trying to get that message out this year. Building on what you have described here with your event, and the importance of that. Do you guys talk much about, what the real stuff is that's going on with the research?
We have the added benefit of Rick coming to our gym and actually talking to our kids.
Yeah.
So over the last few years, he has obviously not delved super deep into the science because, got 14-year-olds, but to go beyond just the words breast cancer research.
Yeah. Yeah. You mentioned that you're a teacher, you're a coach, yes. You're a mother, you're a wife, and you have a 6th grader. Is that right?
Correct.
An 8th grader and a 10th grader. And correct. You have 2 jobs. Are they aware of this when it comes around that you're involved with this? And does it impact their lives in any way?
Absolutely. We have so many Dig Pink t-shirts at our house from the last 20 years. We are outfitted for life. No, my kids have been coming to the Spartan gym since before they were born. Mm-hmm. And they very much know what Dig Pink is. They tell their friends, they'll invite their buddies and anybody that they know that's coming. They're you got to wear pink from head to toe. If they buy something pink at the store, oh, even if they're buying it in April, they're oh, did you see those pink shoes, Mom? I could wear those to Dig Pink during volleyball season. They know, they get it. They've got the scrunchies and the hair ties and the whole works. But now they're getting old enough where they're part of it, not just as the coach's kid coming to the gym, but my 10th grader attends West Springfield. So she's there. She's part of the program. My 8th grader, was in the gym with the athletes all the time. And she feels like she's a part of it. She's a part of the program. And I think that they kind of enjoy the little brag. Oh yeah, I've been coming to this for 13 years.
I love when coaches have kids and they're gym rats. They're there and they benefit so much from being around athletes that are working as a team, as individuals to get better every day, but as a team, and they get to be a part of that energy and the passion. It truly is life-changing and such a positive benefit to those that are in it and those that are watching it and little and getting to witness it as well.
It has been an interesting journey combining it with parenting, bringing the kids to the gym as they've grown. It's definitely a different experience. There was some hard years. Bringing a 2-year-old to the gym is not easy.
Yeah, right. If you were to give advice about how early do you start some of this prep? And I know you had Rick, and Rick is this is his life here. This is his legacy. He is out to make a difference and so passionate about it. How early do you need to get started on this?
There's 2 things that you need to do right at the beginning of the season. Get your date scheduled on your calendar. I talked to my school. I'm hey, these are a couple of dates that would look good. What works for you guys helping to support us as far as getting the word out and sharing it with the student population. And then finding that lead parent who's going to kind of take the lead on it. So, at our parent meeting, I talk about it. one of the great things about doing it continuously is so often there's a parent who's just like, oh, I'm just willing to help out, their first year. And then they realize, oh, I could help. I could actually do more next year with that. And so it kind of gets passed down. So fortunately for me now, I'm at the point where a parent will be like, hey, Stephanie, I can help with Dig Pink this year, sometimes before I even ask, which
Right.
is really nice because it is a lot. I can't take the credit. I can't take the credit for our amazing Dig Pink events. Like, it truly is the parents who step up, and I walk in the gym on Dig Pink night and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. You guys are amazing.
Stephanie, it's leadership from the top, though. I guess your understanding of how important this is for your players, for your school, but that leadership really is the key to unlock the rest of it. Kudos to you. And, I know you had Rick. So
yes, he was our lead coach. He's, for listeners, like, he's stepped away from high school coaching just with scheduling busy. It's hard to do it all. Yes. He's still very much part of our program in the sense that Rick is always going to be a Spartan. He's always going to be a part of West Springfield. I need to get him in the gym more. I keep texting him, hey, anytime you want to stop by.
He designed some killer shirts.
He
has some. I don't know if that's all him, but yeah.
He did when he was our freshman team coach. He was our lead coach on our Dig Pink events, which is something, if you're talking about advice, is you don't have to do everything. It's helpful to work together and delegate. I remember when I first started coaching and I felt like I had to be the one to do everything. And then it was actually Aaron, my JV coach, who was like, oh, I kind of actually like designing t-shirts and ordering stuff. And I was like, it's yours. You can have it. I hate doing that. That's not what I want to do. I hate ordering equipment. I just want to be in the gym. It's yours. You got it. So yeah, like having people and say, if you have good ideas, I don't need to come up with all of the ideas. No, there's so many people with great ideas. What are your ideas? You want to do that? Awesome. Do it. Like, if you got a good idea, run with it.
Loved it. It's cooperation. It's, again, the connectedness that we're talking about. The one thing I said to Rick today is that, my whole life has been about coaching volleyball, playing volleyball, coaching volleyball, watching volleyball. And I am so thankful for people like you at schools. And also, I just want volleyball. And we're kind of a really cool, it's not a really large population, although we are the number one participation sport in high school. But that we can say this is something, we're going to have some breakthroughs. We're progressing down the road. Rick is pushing hard. The kinds of things that we're doing, they're going to get some results. We're patient, but we're going to get some results that are going to change some lives, even more than what we're doing currently. But I love the fact and want to do my best at trying to get volleyball everywhere to recognize this is ours. I mean, a lot of times you got me going on some thought here when, basketball has basketball, men or boys, girls. Volleyball doesn't have a counter, although I guess you do in Virginia. You have boys volleyball in Virginia, right?
We do. This is the first, well, Virginia's had it for a while in Fairfax County, which is 25 public high schools.
Yeah.
This is the first year that boys volleyball has been a sanctioned sport.
I do have always a little chip on my shoulder about volleyball programs, getting the gym or having the right, we're fighting all the time to try to do our students and our athletes well. So let's talk just briefly, Stephanie, about your season, some feelings you have getting started in 2024, what you're looking forward to and maybe even some expectations or changes or...
I mean, like you, I've been volleyball like my whole life. I've played, I've coached, I've been around, I've seen it at all the different levels of the game. And I love it. And I get excited for every new volleyball season to start. I think one of the things that's so invigorating about the start of a new volleyball season is it always feels like as your seniors graduate, you miss them. I think I cry at the end of the season every year thinking like, I'm going to miss these kids and that ending. It's so final when it ends for these seniors and they move on. And it feels like, how are we going to replace them? Like there's no way to replace these kids. They've done so well. And I love the start of the new season, seeing these younger players. And every year they step in and they step up and they fill in those spots, those gaps that at the moment feel impossible to fill in those gaps. And at that start of the season, you see that and you're like, yeah, we're going to do this again. Like, it's going to come together. And I love seeing that. I love the confidence in kids build. It's so fun. I so often, because I'm involved in the community and things at the middle school level, I try to reach out outside of just the high school into my community. And so I'm meeting some of these kids as fifth graders and as sixth graders coming to our camp and things like that. And they're tiny and they're little and they don't know what they're doing, but they're cute and they're excited about volleyball. Yeah. We build on that excitement and then we see them get into high school and then we see them become upperclassmen and they build that confidence. And it's so rewarding as a coach to see these kids just go from playing in the gym, bouncing around as little kids, and then get that hunger where they just want to learn and they want to grow as an athlete. And then they get that confidence that comes along with that. And it's really fun to see that growth in a kid. I really, really enjoy that. I love helping a kid build confidence. There's not much that's honestly more rewarding than that. And it comes in different ways for different kids. Like some kids are confident because they are just crushing it out there on the volleyball court. And that's awesome. And then there's some kids who are just building confidence. They know that they just have a smaller role on the team or something like that. And I love helping them embrace that role that they have and see that I am still equally important. I'm just important in a different kind of way, maybe a less flashy way, but it's still great. And even the kids, and from coaching, that first week of the season for me is the hardest week of my whole life of the year right. Because I have this love-hate relationship with volleyball tryouts. Yeah, it's exciting and it's starting. We had 101 kids try out this year.
Oh
there's
my God.
There's not 101 spots on the team. Like we have to cut a significant amount of kids every year. And some of those kids have been playing volleyball for a while and they're skilled and they're good kids and they work hard and they have some talent. And we like them. We like them as human beings, but we can't put 40 kids on the varsity team. We can't keep 100 kids in the volleyball program. And so that's really difficult. And I know it's difficult for them and we don't enjoy doing that by any means. At the same time, I'm glad that we have enough interest in volleyball and that we've built a program that people want to be a part of. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that we have a pool of people to pick from. So it's like that love-hate relationship. It's tough. It's really tough.
Hard stuff.
It's hard stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's good and bad, right?
Yeah, right.
But it's great too when we connect with kids and they still want to be a part of the program. I've got 10 to 15 kids that are managers in my program that come and help out, and they're kids who got cut from our program and they still want to be a part of it. And I think that's really special.
Yeah, that's special.
It's amazing. That's amazing. They're amazing.
So Virginia volleyball. Let's talk about Virginia volleyball for just a little bit.
It's competitive. It has grown so much as a sport in Virginia. It's impressive.
It is. It is. Yeah. I was just going to say, this podcast is called Leave It Better. And you've mentioned several things that have been under your purview that I believe could be categorized as something that you did to leave things better. If you had to pick something, what would that be? And can you tell us either the little story or the moment that you really felt that you were leaving something? Yeah, I know that's a hard question.
It's a big question. It's a great question. I love it. I love it.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be anything, sometimes the simplest things every day is you get a chance to leave it better every day, honestly.
And I think that's the key right there. And as coaches, I think what separates coaches is we all want to win. Like, winning is fun. Like, who doesn't like winning? It's great. Love it. But it can't all be that either. Like, there's so many little victories to celebrate throughout a season. And there's so many moments that are important. And some of those moments have nothing to do with volleyball. They're just adjacent as you're together with the team. And I think we should be celebrating all of those little moments and be creating memories, not just the memory of winning, because the reality is only one team is going to be the state champion and everybody else finishes their season losing.
Right.
Like, that's how your season ends, except for one team. Only one team gets to finish their season not on a loss. So if you're hinging everything on winning, that's a really bad percentage. Like, the odds are not in your favor. So building those memories throughout the season, I think, is so important. I always tell my coaches at the beginning of the season that when all is said and done, we're going to work hard. We're going to do all of the things that we as coaches do. But when all is said and done, I want these kids to leave high school, and when they're in college or when they're done with college or with their families throughout their life, to look back and say, man, I'm sure glad I played volleyball in high school. I'm sure glad I was a part of that. Yeah. And I think if we've done that, regardless of what our season record is, we've done something amazing for these kids in high school. And I think that's the little victories. I think that's what we can do as a coach. And I'm reminded every year that the importance of that. One of the things, a tradition that I started, 15 years ago, maybe, is I do an alumni game every year.
Okay.
And we do it during tryout weeks, which is in August, where like a lot of our college kids are still at home, that kind of thing.
Oh, good idea.
Any alumni, it's always on a Friday night, any alumni who's in town or around in the area. I have people drive in from 2 hours away to come and play this year. We usually get 18 to 20 alumni that show up now. And we divide into 2 teams and we play a volleyball game, all alumni. And it's so fun. And there's kids who have a lot of them don't know each other. It's like, oh, you graduated 12 years ago. Well, I graduated 3 years ago. I don't know you.
Stephanie, I love that.
Great. It reminds me every year at the beginning of the season that this is what's most important, is this joy in the gymnasium.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, resilience is kind of there's many ways resilience comes into play: physical, emotional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed. On the cancer front, this isn't, necessarily like my story to share, but we had an athlete 11, 12 years ago, I mentioned before, whose mother battled breast cancer the entire time that she was going through high school. She actually battled it, I want to say, for 8 or 9 years, and unfortunately eventually lost her life to breast cancer. But this woman was amazing. She was in the late stages, and again, you're making me emotional again, and coming to our volleyball games. And I remember this would have been, I believe, the first year that this player was on varsity. And I remember hearing this parent yelling so loud for the team. And I leaned over to one of my coaches at the time and I was like, whose parent is that? That's like yelling so emotionally positive. It was great. I was loving it. I was like, whose parent is that? And I couldn't figure out who it was in the stands. And it didn't even occur to me to look at this woman because she was frail from her battle with cancer. But it was her. And she was just so passionate about still having the opportunity to watch her daughter play, even though she knew that this would have eventually take her. Like, there was not any other option in her story at the time. Yeah. And I loved that. And I knew it took a lot out of her. I knew that the next day after a volleyball game, she wouldn't be able to do anything else. Like, it took all of her energy to get there and to be a part of it. And it just made me love people more. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That's another really powerful story. People are amazing. They really are. There's so many amazing people. I think as humans, sometimes we get bogged down talking about all of the negative stories because they're sensational. The negative stories, they make a headline. But there's so many amazing people in the world. I love that we're telling their stories. I love that the Side Out Foundation is telling the stories of these great things. We need more of that. Yeah. Yeah. I also love the lessons of working hard, and the joy of working hard is amazing to me. I love teaching that to kids for the first time. I'm like, maybe on your other like middle school team, you thought you were working hard, but you weren't. Here's a new level. Yeah, I'm not going to work you hard like out of punishment. I'm like, there will be consequences. I'm never going to punish you. Like, consequences and punishment are two very different things in my opinion. But I think when a kid is pushed outside of their comfort zone a little bit, and then they accomplish it for the first time, like, they feel so good when they realize that they could do more than they thought that they could. Yeah. And the satisfaction that comes from that. I'm like, I work you hard because I would never want to deny you the opportunity of that feeling of knowing that you did something you didn't think that you could do. That's magical. And I want to give that to kids. And I don't want to deny them that. And I want to apply that to my own life too. Like, I want to not just stop because that was the easiest thing to do. I want to keep going, reach out for that ball, like extend myself more than I thought that I could. Oh God, you have shared so many really important messages here today. And I love that you are coaching young women and you're teaching. And you have 3 daughters that you're going to work this magic on as well. And that you shared all this with us today. And I got to get out to one of your matches. Please, I'm going to have to get out to one of your matches. Yes. Text me. Well, you can be our guest of honor. There you go. All right. You don't need to do that. Well, I want to thank you for being on. It was wonderful to chat with you. You guys are amazing.
Thank you for listening. Please share your feedback with us at side-out.org.